to the men hungry for gold, Sturjovski and Kovney. So join us for the most comprehensive preview to Australian soccer's biggest day. This is Soccer Central. Welcome to this grand final edition of Soccer Central. Well, it's a pretty eerie feeling here at Olympic Park with nobody here. But come Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock, 25,000 people will rock it to its foundations. Sydney United come as the underdogs, but David Mitchell and his boys are ready for a fight. It's two of the more traditional clubs in the Ericsson Cup, ready for glory.
The defending premiers, South Melbourne. What a modern-day record. They've been there since the inception of the National League in 1977, and they're now chasing their fourth title. One of the game's great clubmen in Ange Postecoglou will steer them into battle, while on the park, there are few better than skipper Paul Trimboli and Kiwi striker Vaughan Kovney.
Oh, he soared!
And what about their opponent, Sydney United? What a story. Midway through the season, they faced financial ruin, but this bunch of battlers went on to win the minor premiership and now have a shot at the title. If David Mitchell's boys are successful, it will be their first National League crown. The key players, well, it's hard to go past Richie Plesher with his long balls from the back, and young gun striker Mile Sturjovski. Speed, skill and hunger. Now doesn't that typify United?
He's still going, Sturjovski, and he's done it! Mile Sturjovski!
Well, I'm keeping you up to date with everything that's coming out of Melbourne. Mike Cockrell's in Sydney, checking on Sydney United. Mike, I just get the feeling this grand final might be a little bit fiery.
Yeah, you're right about that, Wadey. There's going to be some fire and brimstone in that grand final. We'll be talking to Steve Berry about that a bit later in the program. He's going to be warming up for the big match right here at the Castle Hill Country Club. But on the subject of the grand final, there is a definite physical edge between these two teams. In the 4 games they've played so far this season, we've seen plenty of physical commitment, plenty of tough tackles. I do know that David Mitchell believes all the talk about South Melbourne being a skillful side ignores the fact that they're very tough as well. Certainly a few scores are going to be settled out there in the grand final. That is no exaggeration, but that's what you want from a grand final. Everything's at stake, the season goes on the line, and I think in the first 10-15 minutes certainly we'll be seeing a lot of tough football out there.
This really is a battle of the old guard, Mike. Two traditional clubs, and they're part-time as well.
It's an interesting point, that, isn't it? I mean, a lot of talk about full-time football this season, the likes of the Northern Spirit, Carlton, Perth Glory, but when all's said and done, the only 2 teams left standing are those 2 teams who only have part-time players. The likes of Steve Berry, they have to get up in the morning, do the work before they go to training, maybe 2 or 3 sessions a week. An interesting point, they haven't really lost out in the physical side of things. Their fitness has been okay. So, you know, the part-time versus full-time argument, I guess the jury's still out on that. 2 teams have been around the NSL for a long time. There's the new guard coming in. This may be the last time we see these type of traditional clubs contesting the championship. A big occasion for Sydney United. They've never won it before, obviously, so there's a lot of emotion riding on this one for them. South Melbourne, the defending champions, they are showing that despite the challenges of the likes of the Glory and the Spirit, they're not going to give up their title without a fight.
And I guess, Mike, the other big issue is, can South Melbourne go all the way? Mind you, they've only played 2 games in 6 weeks, while Sydney United really are battle-hardened.
Well, Ange Postecoglou, the South Melbourne coach, accepts that that is an argument, but he doesn't think it's going to be a problem. I personally think it will have an effect. South Melbourne, obviously, you know, they've only played 2 games, as you said, in the last 6 weeks. That's a lot of football they've missed. Sydney United have had the benefit of a couple of hard finals games, as well as playing, of course, in the last round of the home and away season. South Melbourne's preparation for the grand final has taken that into account. I'm sure Angie has pushed his players hard in those off weeks. But, you know, it's going to be a factor. Sydney United have the benefit of that game against Perth Glory. It was a tough game, it was a physical game, and they've been sharpened up by the match.
Throughout the Ericsson Cup, C7 has been the place for all the action. We've brought you the matches live throughout the finals series. And of course, the grand final will be live as well. Make sure you join us for the big one. It's fair to say Ange Postecoglou lives and breathes South Melbourne. A wonderful club man, he was also my captain when we won the title back in 1991. So I thought it was time to catch up and chat about the old times and the good times on the eve of another grand final. You spent a lot of years here. When did you start?
Came here as a junior in 1975, so what, 25 years later, yeah.
And with the first team?
84. championship year.
So the first year you played here, you won a championship?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty easy actually. I figured I'd play 10 years, 10 championships, but it doesn't work out that way.
There's some legends on this this photo board, isn't there?
Yeah, some great players. I mean, Oscar Crinos, Stevie Blairs, Alan Davidson. Alan Evans played for Liverpool, came to South Melbourne. So yeah, some great names.
I noticed you didn't mention me in there. Is there any particular reason for that?
Yeah, because I see great players.
I was trying to close down Charlie Egan here.
Yeah,
in my days.
Brunswick Juventus.
At Brunswick.
Yeah. No, there's some good black and white photos of you.
Don't startle. We'll just point out this photograph here of Ange Postecoglou, a very young Ange. What would that have been, Ange?
1986.
Plenty of trophies too, as we can see by this trophy cabinet.
Yeah.
You've been involved in most of them, I guess, but the one that probably takes more pride of place than anything would be that one in the middle, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's the one we all play for, and as I said, I won one in the first year, 84, and you tend to take it for granted when you win it in your first year because you just think, it's a great feeling and I can't wait to feel it again, but it took another 7 years, as you know, before we even got close to it, so it's a special trophy.
Is that why the second one means a little bit more, because you can remember a hell of a lot more?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the first one, like I said, was my first year. It was all a blur. I was just happy to be in the first team, and we won it up in Sydney against Sydney Olympic, and next day it was just, it didn't really sink in at all. It was only 5 years later that I started thinking, I let one slip. I've got to get another one, and so 91. Yeah, we definitely enjoyed 91.
I guess it just emphasises more and more how important it is to win a championship, because you've been playing and coaching for years and years, and you've only done it twice, possibly 3 times.
Well, yeah, we've done it twice as a player, once as a coach, and hopefully we'll do it again on Sunday. I mean, but I'm one of the lucky ones. I mean, there's plenty of great players, and that's what I keep reminding our boys. There's been some fantastic players even through this club who have missed out. And these guys are fortunate enough, and they've been rewarded and worked hard. And even the names we mentioned before, and there's some great names there, and you are included as one of the greats, but this bunch of players has got a chance to do something that you and I and all the other great ones, Socceroos, overseas stars, have never done. That's win back-to-back. So, they've got a chance to put themselves above everyone else at this club, and a chance to create some history. So, that's the sort of message I've been putting through to them.
What do you do now then as a coach? What goals have you set yourself? I mean, do you just go do you go the Triple Crown, or do you head for the Socceroo coaching job? What is your goal?
Well, my goal never changes, and that is to win the next game. And our next game is the most important game of the year. So you don't think about 3 in a row, you don't think about Socceroo coaching, you don't think about any of that. I just think about Sunday. Now, if we get over Sunday and we're successful, then I'll sit back and think, well, what do we want to achieve in the next 12 months, and how are we going to achieve it? Are we going to have to make changes? And you're just playing like that. You can't afford to look too far ahead in this game, particularly in coaching. I mean, someone like Eddie Krenchevich a year ago was in this position, and now he hasn't even got a club, which is amazing to think that in any other occupation that wouldn't happen, where a person takes a club to the ultimate and then a year later is deemed not good enough. So, but unfortunately that's the nature of our game, and clubs demand success, fans demand success, and if you're one of these clubs that are expected to win things, then you've got to deal with those pressures.
Can you see if everybody else put their hand up and said, yes, Ange Postecoglou should be the national team coach, would you take it?
Oh, it's hard to say, Wadey. I mean, it's such a, to me that is such an...
Well, Frank Farina says he's earning his stripes now. A lot of people saying that you've got to earn your stripes in this game, you've got to earn your stripes.
I think
surely you're earning your stripes right now. How many more successful do you have to be?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think, I mean, at the end of the day, I've only been coaching for 3 years. And, I think there'll be coaches out there who've been coaching for 10 and 12 years who'd say, well, we've got the experience. But all I can do is the job that I've got. And, when I took over here, people were questioning my experience then. I mean, I was 30 years old, I'd never done a senior job, but obviously the people around here saw something in me that they had some confidence that I'd do a good job. Now, I think if the next step was to say the Socceroo job, and I wouldn't have the experience for it because there's only one national team job going around, and I guess people just have to sit down and look whether I have those credentials. And at the moment, all I can do is be successful at the job I've got, and I work for a great club, we've got some great players, and so far things are going well.
If you stand on that dais with Paul Trimboli like you did with Ferenc Puskas, what will be the thoughts going through your mind? It's going to be one of, I mean, do you think you'll be able to take it all in, knowing what you've been through?
It's hard to say. Trimmers was saying I look like Ferenc Puskas last year. We both got up on the dais, so I've had to lose a bit of weight because he was giving me a bit of stick about it. But yeah, it'll be special. I mean, it's hard. I mean, I remember last year I got up there and I think I swore on national television, so I think I better write something down just in case this time.
Well, Mike, there's been plenty of other Australian coaches named for the Socceroo coaching job before Ange. Do you reckon that's fair, considering his success rate with South Melbourne?
Well, I think you're right on that one, Wadey. Ange Postecoglou has as good a claims as anyone. Maybe he doesn't push himself as much as the other candidates do, but let's not forget, he won the championship last season with South Melbourne. He's in the grand final again this time around. He has certainly served his apprenticeship, and I would say that he's got as much claims as anyone else.
Yeah, it's quite refreshing to see one guy give so much to one club. He really is driven by passion.
Well, it's a great love affair, isn't it, Ange Postecoglou in South Melbourne? He was captain of the side which won the championship in 1991. He served his apprenticeship as a coach under Frank Arrock. He's now his own man, very much his own man as well. He knows the supporters better than anyone. He appreciates the history of the club. And it's a great love affair and it's a great success story. Ange Postecoglou has done wonders for South Melbourne, and I do believe he's got plenty more to offer as well.
And what about the strengths of Ange Postecoglou, Mike? Particularly considering the pressure of finals football.
Well, I think Ange has been there as a player. He played for the Socceroos. He knows how to deal with elite players. He's got good man management skills, but he's also prepared to make the hard decisions. Again, that's something he probably learned from Frank Arrock. Reputations don't count for too much at South Melbourne. You've seen some big players sitting on the bench this season and last. So Ange knows how to juggle the egos, if you like. He knows how to select teams for particular games. He's learning as he goes, but he's got a very cool manner about him. And as I said, he knows the supporters at South Melbourne, he knows what they expect, and that helps him in the way he deals with things.
Ange's rival coach in the grand final will be David Mitchell. He's done an incredible job with Sydney United, I'm sure you'd agree. But I tell you what, David Mitchell will never be satisfied until he brings Sydney United's very first championship back to Adenza Park.
Sure, it's all been written before. The team of battlers who have defied receivership and possible extinction to win through to the grand final. But gee, it's a great story. Sydney United is a mix of youth and experience, but what they all have in common is great mateship and an incredible hunger to beat the odds.
Yeah, it's just really basic that we've got a lot of good boys here. But we realise we're on something good. That some of our performance has been outstanding this year. And I think part of the secret was if we could stick together as a team. It was a week-to-week proposition, but the longer we could get results on the board on behalf of the club and the players, that there's more likelihood that the club would survive and the players would get paid the money they owed.
And the odds certainly have been steep. Most didn't expect them to make the six. Then came the receiver. Then they lost their strike force in Griffiths and Sturjovski to the Olyroos. Then they won the minor premiership.
Oh, beauty!
There's nothing rusty about that, Steve.
Oh, Richard Pleasure. Second goal of the season, and it has rocketed in.
Yeah, I mean, no one gave us a chance all year to be in the top six, and we've just, got better and better. And once we achieved the top six, then the top two was our goal, and luckily enough we achieved that. And yeah, the underdog tag has been part of our season, but no one's going to call us the underdogs now, and I'm sure Angie in South Melbourne won't be thinking that they're underdogs. They'll go into the game professional as they ever do.
Through it all, Mitchell has kept them firing. He's played the game to their strengths and fostered an environment to achieve and win. There is no greater example of that than Nathan Day. When Griffiths and Sturjovski departed, he stepped up and kept finding the net.
Yeah, I was disappointed for Nathan at the start of the year. He got injured, and he was out for a long time, and then young Millie and Joel were doing exceptionally well together, and I kept with him up front, and it was very frustrating for Nathan. One of the things, Nathan come to Sydney, a lot of people question him, why were you coming to Sydney, why are you coming to Sydney United? And he just says, well, I want to win a championship, and it's within grasp now.
But it's not just the young guns. What about a bloke called Mike Gibson? He was United's goalkeeping coach before receiving an urgent call to fill in for the injured Andrew Cruz, and he's still there.
It's not just Millie or Nathan or Joel up front scoring goals. We've got a goalkeeper who's on his last legs now, and Mike Gibson. He was the goalkeeper coach at the start of the season, and you know, Andrew Cruz got injured halfway through the season, and Gibbo's come in and performed miracles for us, and he's done very well. So you know, we're not a team of 1 or 2 players; we're an all-round team.
Mitchell has had to make some tough decisions this season, but through it all, he has the complete respect of every player on the roster.
Mitch is just a fantastic ingredient. I mean, he pulled us all together in the first place. He got us over the adversity of the payments problem and that sort of thing. And him and Laurie McKenna have just done a fantastic job. I mean, the players just respect them and think so highly of them. You know, they've really just led us to this position, and we've got a fair bit of ability on the field, but they've certainly channeled it in the right direction.
In an era of professionalism, United still very much represent the part-timers. While some clubs train 13 times a week, these guys get together twice.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people have said that how do you do it, you know, but like I said, when we train very hard. We're very committed when we train. We've got a lot of boys here that have got a lot of good jobs, and the commitment to their work is also equally hard for them to get time off. So, like I say, it's worked quite well this year. The boys go to work, and they come back, and then they put the effort in the training, so it's pretty demanding for them.
They all have their jobs and responsibilities outside soccer, but on Sunday they'll come together to try and win Australian soccer's greatest prize. They're the underdogs once again, but you sense Mitch has something special in store for the defending premiers, even if he's not letting on.
There's no secret formula, you know. South Melbourne, reigning champions, very good side, coached very well, and there'll be a very tough obstacle for us to win it. You know, us being the minor premiership, you know, we've won a lot of games throughout the season, and that's testament to my players. But I think South Melbourne have got the edge because it's down in Melbourne, and they'll have the majority of the support. But like I say, we'll give it our best shot.
Well, we're not even at the half-time break on Soccer Central. Plenty more to come on the grand final edition right after this.
Well, on the field, it's the right 2 teams in the grand final. First and second on the ladder, now contesting the title. But off the field, it's a different story. The challenge is there now for the fans of Sydney United and South Melbourne to not only behave themselves, but to also turn up in sufficient numbers. This, after all, is the showpiece game of the Ericsson Cup. And the best way for these 2 clubs to show they're as much about the future as the past is for their fans to provide the right sense of occasion.
With South Melbourne safely in the grand final, it was left to Sydney United and Perth Glory to fight out that remaining spot. What a game it was. The preliminary final, let's relive some of the great moments.
Harnwell is there, so too is Surkati. Edwards jumping at the near post. Surkati drives the shot across the face of goal, claims for handball, and the referee's going to award another corner kick. So pressure on the Pumas early in this match. The corner kick missed by Mike Gibson. Was that a handball? In it comes again from Halpin. Near post ball flicked on by Edwards. The shot comes from Harnwell. Off the line by Burns. Well, Perth Glory, 3 great opportunities in a row. Nice layoff there from Despotovsky. Edwards is in space. He'll try it himself, Alistair Edwards. Worth a try. This is a rehearsed move. Burns lays it off to Santalab. Deep ball, and in the end Miller had to jump. He wasn't going to take any chances there, Scotty Miller. Good variation from Sydney United. Robbie Tchaikovsky with the throw. flicked on by Edwards.
Here's Sturjovski, too quick for Sakati, still going Sturjovski, and he's done it! Millet Sturjovski draws first blood in the preliminary final. Well, Sydney United really have been out of it for long periods, but they are showing their pedigree. They've come back from the dead in some ways. Sturjovski, for the first time, got some room. He was too quick for the Glory defence. And he made them pay. Berry it was who assessed the situation. That was a good ball. Sakati was caught wrong side. And from there, you would have backed Sturjovski. 1-0 Sydney United. Kuprashak with a free kick for Sydney United. Day is the target. He gets the touch on. Sturjovski must score! He's put it wide. Millet Sturjovski, amazingly, has put it wide. Well, what a let-off that was for Perth. Great flick from Day. How did he miss? Well, the referee will just stop play there. Flair came onto the pitch as we spoke. And that's not terribly smart. Great cross from Bennett. And Nathan Day should have found the target there. Superb delivery by Peter Bennett. Nathan Day knows what a good opportunity that was. He found the space in the 6-yard box. The marking was ordinary. Unmarked is Nathan Day. There he held up the pass. Down the line is Burns. Whips it across. Day with the header off the post. Perth continued to live dangerously. Plesher. And Perth Plesher can't get the contact with a shot, but that's twice Nathan Day has had reason to applaud the service. Both chances falling to his head. Great ball in from Jacob Burns here. And a much better effort this one from Day. Oh, a big round of applause reserved for the side of Joel Griffiths about to come on. And, oh, here is a shot. Millet Sturjovski is the player to make way. A big call, that one from David Mitchell.
Well, I mean, if Alex Ferguson can do it.
Griffiths gets past Danny Hay. Into the middle. There's been a slip. Chance here for Steve Berry. And it's gone in. Steve Berry has extended the lead. Maybe it's enough to put Sydney United into the grand final. That's the cushion they were looking for. And Steve Berry, perhaps the most underrated player in this Sydney United side, bobs up with his third goal of the season, and what a place and what a time to score it.
Joel Griffiths did well to hold off Danny Hay here, didn't he? Got the cross in. They talk about the character of this team. It was Berry's run from midfield that created it all.
And almost an immediate reply there from Perth Glory as we speak.
You're a good judge, Wadey, aren't you?
What a chance that was for John Markovski. Mike Gibson has done ever so well. The ball came in from Butsianis. That was going in. In fact, it was Scotty Miller, I think, with the header. Let's have a look at it closely. Great save there from Gibson. Here's Butsianis. Good cover from Steve Berry, and Jacob Burns will run it down. Burns goes deep. Day is unmarked. Brings it down, takes a deflection off the crossbar. And in the end, Franken gets it from the rebound. Well, that could have been the ball game. Nathan Day can't believe his luck. A great cross stitch from Jacob Burns to pick out the number 10. Brought it down. The shot took a deflection. The keeper was beaten. Day. Burns is unmarked. A chance here for Jacob Burns. Great save again from Franken. Probably just tired legs there, really, from Jacob Burns. Halpin lines it up. Oh, Gibson was scrambling there. Looking for Berry. Berry will get there. And Steve Berry
somehow still finding the legs to make those 30-metre runs. Maybe it's going to be third time lucky for Sydney United, a club which, of course, has been through so much this season. Off the field, they were in the hands of an administrator midway through the season. Money was a problem, players weren't being paid. They now have a new board in control. Chance here for Butsianis, and he's done it! Butsianis has thrown Perth a lifeline. 5 minutes left, and the Glory have themselves a goal. Well, Butsianis was completely unmarked there as the ball came to him. Not the sort of player to look a gift horse in the mouth, Butsianis, particularly when the opportunity falls onto his left boot.
Well, they say the pressure on goalkeepers having to make that one save in 90 minutes, but have a look at Peter Bennett. The only mistake he's made so far in 85 minutes of football.
If you look at the last, say, 10-15 minutes of play, they have walked through the Sydney United defence a couple of times with the 1-2 situations between Butsianis and Halpin, and certainly they look like they could create a chance at any stage, and they've come up with a goal to be still in the match.
Hey. Edwards still full of running, pressure's slipped, and Vrikic had to hack it away there as he struggled to keep his footing. Joe Vrikic, a corner to Perth.
This will be the longest 5 minutes of Dave Mitchell's life, I'm sure of it.
Well, of course, if scores are level at the end of 90, we do go into golden goals and then a penalty shootout. You never know. Butsianis with a corner. Edge of the box is Serkati. Miller hasn't been cleared. Helped on by Barrett. Danny Townsend against Tchaikovsky. Tchaikovsky's been forced into error. Townsend, and Tony Franken has handled that. He's in big trouble. He's going to go off, is he? Yes, he is. No choice for the referee there.
Yes, there was a choice. He should have a look at the replay. You bet a lot of money that he didn't touch that with his hands. He's thrown his chest at it, Tony Franken. He knew he was out of his area. He knew he had to make a connection somewhere.
Well, Tony Franken has been sent off.
That's cruel. Tony's had a good game, and is just in a bad situation there. Whoa. It has come off his knee, and then his hand definitely touched his hand, second touch. But I don't know what Robbie Tchaikovsky's thinking of. The ball was there. He's played the man, won the ball. Why not just play it back the first time? He's hesitated and waited, and then been off balance, ready to pass when he made the second mistake.
Must congratulate the referee, Mark Shields. I got it wrong. He got it right.
Burns over the ball for Sydney United. Played wide to Bennett. Well, that looked to have gone across the line to me. And in the end, down goes Peter Bennett.
All right, Mike, before we analyse Sydney United's form, what about Perth Glory? What a great season for them and Bernd Stanger.
Yeah, look, they've done a great job, the Glory. I mean, obviously their crowds have been a factor, but Bernd has got the team playing at home as well as away. Their away record was their strength before. They used to lose games at home. This year, they've delivered in front of their own fans, and third place is nothing to be ashamed of. Bernd was, in fact, very proud of the way they performed this season, and honest enough to say that maybe the grand final had come a little bit too early for his team, but more improvement on the way.
Now let's talk about Sydney United. They really did give Perth Glory's defence a hard time. Surely that should give them a lot of confidence.
Well, that's been their strength all season, the movement off the ball up front, the speed of the likes of Sturjowski, Griffiths and Day, and if they get the right service, they're a threat to any team, including South Melbourne. The way they carved up that Perth Glory defence for a long period of that preliminary final was a big confidence booster to David Mitchell. The team had struggled to score in their previous games against South Melbourne. They turned that around against the Perth defence, which we might remember had only conceded 1 goal in 3 games going into the match. So as long as the service is right, the strength of Sydney United remains their forward line.
And I thought Mile Sturjowski's goal was crucial, especially coming into this final. After the one he missed against South Melbourne, he needed a lift.
He certainly did. He took it hard, Mile Sturjowski, that miss against South Melbourne. He felt responsible for Sydney United not going straight through to the grand final. But he responded like a champion. The way he took the goal against Perth was fabulous to watch. It was all Mile's strength, his speed, his cool finishing, his positioning as well. He got around his man and it was a tidy finish. So Millet's a confidence player like all strikers, and Sydney United need Millet at the top of his game for the grand final.
And Nathan Day does it again. Another great job for David Mitchell. Surely he's got to start ahead of Joel Griffiths for the weekend.
I know David Mitchell, it was a big decision for him to decide against Joel Griffiths starting against Perth. He went for Nathan Day, and Nathan Day rewarded that faith with a fantastic performance. He didn't get a goal, he did miss a couple of good chances, but overall his work was fabulous. His work rate was strong, his speed caused constant problems to the Perth Glory defence, and his strength in the air was also an asset for the team, so I'd expect Nathan to start for sure.
Stay with us on this grand final edition of Soccer Central, because right after the break we talk to South Melbourne Strike Force.
The good thing about it is, from our coaching staff, is the philosophy when we play away from home is that we go and attack teams. We don't sit back, we don't play for a result, we don't play for a draw. Obviously that doesn't work this week anyway, but yeah, when we play away from home, we try and play our natural game, just as if we're back here at Indenza Park.
What have you learnt from playing South Melbourne 2 or 3 times?
I've learnt that they've got a pretty good back line, they're pretty tall, so we've got to play the ball low and use our speed.
No Richie Plesher long balls?
Oh, if they work, why not?
Yeah, what I keep saying, we've got a chance to win it, and I'm just grateful to be there, and regardless of what the score is on Sunday, we've done a great job all year.
Your long balls have been a key part of the attack as well. We're going to see more of those on Sunday?
Yeah, well, I try to create as much as I can from the back, so I'm a long way from the goal, so when I do get a chance to create something, I certainly will, yeah.
You got another special goal in you?
I hope so. I tried one on the weekend, it didn't go in, so hopefully this weekend it will.
You've seen plenty of South Melbourne this year. What have you learnt from them?
Yeah, like I say, there's not many chinks in their armour. They're very good all round. They seem to have a couple of players that are injured or suspended, and they have equally good players coming in. So, they have depth in squad as well, which is very important, and especially in the finals when you pick up yellow cards and injuries. But it's really, there won't be much in it, obviously, in the weekend, and all the games we've played in this year have been very close.
It's 2-1. Well, it is safe now. And the Ericsson Cup is going back to the Bob James Stadium after 7 long years. Oh, heartbreak. Look at that. That tells a story.
If you're going to win the Ericsson Cup, you're going to need a strike force. And there's no better combination at the moment than Michael Casija and Vaughan Coveney. They're going to be the keys to South Melbourne going back-to-back in the big one on the weekend. This year, you two have been on fire. Would this be one of your best goal-scoring years, Mike?
Oh, without a doubt, it's my best goal-scoring year, and I think it's Vaughan's as well. So between us, I think we're both pretty happy with our season so far.
How hard do you work on your runs, running off each other, or is it just a matter? Is it just the fact that it clicks? Is it something worked on, or did it just happen?
I mean, it takes a couple of years. I mean, we've been playing together, for the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, you get this understanding going, I mean, last year we didn't play a lot, and this year we have. And I mean, also with the training sessions in the morning, you know, we're working on a lot of finishing, and you know, you get that understanding there. And you know, players like Dwight York and Andy Cole, I mean, you can see it there. There's an understanding. They know what they're going to do, and you know, I think this year Michael and I, you know, we've got a good understanding, and you know, we've got the rewards.
Is it the fact that you are training in the morning and working on those things so that there is a sort of a call for full-time footballers, you're going to be better players?
Yeah, I think Ange, I mean, we do a lot of shooting, a lot of finishing in the mornings, and Ange likes the two strikers to work together, so we work out our runs at training and our calling and our names and things like that. So
it's all orchestrated. So what happens on the weekends, no fluke. It's not like Tats Lotto where you're going to win it one week and not the next.
I think ourselves, me and Vaughan, I think I know that he likes to his runs to the far for the long balls, and myself, I probably prefer it to feet and things like that. So I think it helps to the midfielders as well. They know what we like personally, and I think that plays a big part in it.
Yeah. What about the weekend? It's going to be another tough encounter. You didn't get too many chances to hit the back of the net, did you, a couple of weeks ago? It's not going to be much easier this time.
No, not at all. I mean, you know, finals football is a totally different, you know, episode. I mean, the grand final especially, I mean, there's not going to be a lot of chances. And I mean, you know, we've said to each other, you know, if we get a chance, just concentrate, make sure you hit the target, and, you know, make the keeper make a save, and anything can happen. So, you know, it's important that, you know, over the 90 minutes we really concentrate, and when we get a half chance, that we do put it away.
Does it worry about this surface? I mean, there's Olympic Park. On the Friday night they're playing rugby league, and then on the Sunday we've got the premier game of the whole season. Does it worry you as strikers that you're playing on a surface that could well be cut up?
I think it's a bit disappointing, isn't it? I think the biggest game of the year, especially for the supporters, they want to see a good game, and I think it's really hard to play on a surface that's cut up, and especially for a ball-playing team like ourselves. I think it's not very good for ourselves and for the supporters, so not very happy with that, yeah. Will
that mean that you knock the ball long rather than play it into feet? Will you change your style in any way if the ground is cut up?
No, I don't think so, Eddie. I mean, you know, we're a ball-passing team, and we like to pass the ball around. We know that Olympic Park's a narrow pitch as well, so there's not going to be a lot of room out there, but I think we'll just stick to our game plan. You know, we've been successful over this year and the last couple of years doing what we've done, and I don't think we'll change.
Mike, when you talk about key matchups in this game, you'd have to include Vaughan Coveney and Joe Vrikic.
Yeah, that's going to be a battle royale, that one. I mean, Vaughan Coveney, a very strong player, a very pacey player, up against Joe Vrikic, who's also very good in the air and is a lot better on the ground than people give him credit for. I think the key for Joe is to get the foot in first, to try and get the ball before Vaughan gets a chance to turn. And certainly he's got to deny Vaughan the space, because once Vaughan Coveney gets going, he's one of the quickest players in the league.
And I guess you'd have to say there's going to be a hell of a battle at the other end of the ground. Sturjovski and Day against Orlich and Blatzis.
That's going to be a very, very interesting one, that one, because Orlich and Blatzis are two of the most composed defenders going around. They're very, very tough players. They deny players space. They're good at using their bodies when they have to. And Millet and Nathan Day are going to have to move them around a little bit, maybe take them out of areas where they don't want to go, maybe towards the flanks to try and open up the space for other people. But it's going to be an intriguing battle, and I know that is probably where the game's going to be won and lost.
Let's talk about Paul Trimboli now. Who's it going to be to pick him up? Will Peter Bennett do it? I thought he did a great job last week marking Troy Halpin.
Yeah, PB doesn't get the credit he deserves. I mean, he could possibly push in on Paul Trimboli. I don't know if that's going to happen, because obviously whether Walter Ardone plays or not is a factor in that situation. But, you know, anybody that marks Paul Trimboli is going to have their hands full for 90 minutes. Maybe Trimmers hasn't been in the best form of his career this time around, but Peter Bennett is the sort of player who can stick to him, deny him the space and try and push him away from the penalty area back towards the halfway line if he can.
Well, we caught up with Paul Trimboli this week just to find out how the skipper was handling the build-up. Is it any different, this preparation, to last year? Like, is it, this is the third time I've been through this?
Yeah, it's been harder.
Does it get harder, or does it get easier as it goes on?
Well, I think the home and away season towards the end was getting a bit hard. I don't know, I think because we knew we were in the top two, and we sort of thought, well, we're thinking of the finals, and it was hard to, you know, keep concentrated. But once the final started, it was good.
So how tough has it been, knowing that you've only played 2 games in the last 6 weeks?
Yeah, I don't think that's too much of a problem. I mean, we coped with that last year. And I mean, having a few weeks off is not bad actually this time of year because you've put a lot of Ks on the legs. So, and I mean,
So you're not underdone going into Sundays?
No, I think so. No? I mean, obviously, time will tell, but I don't think that'll be a reason why we don't play well.
You made a couple of comments after the last game against Sydney United that it was a very physical game. It got a bit rough and tumble out there. Are you expecting the same on Sunday?
Oh, for sure. I think it's always like that. That's what I think a lot of people don't understand about soccer, how physical it is. You know, people think it's a non-contact game, but it's not. And at this stage, with so much at stake, there's going to be a lot of, because people just mark each other tight. Every ball, everyone contests it 100%. So.
There weren't too many chances the last time we played Sydney United, were there? It's going to be one of those games that could be decided as a goal.
I think the last 3 times we've played it hasn't been too many chances in any of the games. So I can't actually even the first time when we played them here. So all 4 times it's hardly been free-flowing football. And I don't think it'll be any different. I mean, Fleming Park's a tight ground at the best of times. So.
Yeah, there's not much width at all, is there?
Nah, so I think it'll be more the same.
Over the top maybe, or into feet?
Not over the top for me. Same questions over the top.
Let's just talk about you. I mean, we keep bragging about it, if you like, about this role you play in between the two or in behind the 2 strikers. Can you give us what's the secret to it? Do you actually do that?
I don't think.
Well, why do you find so much space where others can't?
I don't know. I don't think there's actually a position there. I think I'm playing as a striker, but yeah, I'm just sort of playing as I see it, or trying to get where I think the ball's going to be. So yeah, a lot of people talk about this, playing in between there and filling in the hole and all that, but it's not.
But you're not aware of it actually purposely going out there.
No, I don't purposely try to stay in any particular position. I just go where I think I can be effective. So.
Where do you reckon you have to be strong to beat Sydney United on the weekend? Because you've got great players out wide, haven't you? Goran Lozanovsky, if he plays.
I think you have to match them for the intensity and the passion. They play the game, they give everything all the time, every game. And I think you have to match them there, because otherwise they'll outmuscle you, they'll run over the top of you. You can't afford to lack any intensity. I think that was evident on the weekend against Perth. They just seemed to really be just stronger than Perth. Perth look tired, they look slow. All those traits that come through when you're not playing well. But I think that was due to Sydney United putting so much pressure on them physically as well. Yeah.
It's going to be a heavy ground as well. It'll be rugby league on Friday night.
Oh, it'll be fantastic if the weather stays like this and the Storm boys will rip it up.
That's all you need at your age, isn't it?
That's all right. It slows everybody down. That's not bad.
Well, there's been plenty of talk about the young guns of Sydney United, but some of the more experienced players are also putting their hands up. Steve Berry caught up with Mike Cockrell earlier this week.
Well, not the best of weather, Steve, but nice relaxing way to prepare for the grand final.
Yeah, no, good way to relax and get away from some of the pressures of work and things. Yeah, could be better.
What about the pressure of the grand final? I mean, are the players feeling it this week?
Yeah, not really. I think it's it's been a good season for the boys, so I don't think it's going to matter too much. Yeah, obviously it matters, but I mean, we haven't felt the pressure the last couple of weeks because the minor premiership was the big obstacle, and we've got that. So we'll just see how we go from here.
You've got to be happy, Steve. First season in the Ericsson Cup, and you're in the grand final.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's from the state league to the national league, so it's quite good.
30 years of age. Any regrets that you didn't do it earlier?
Yeah, you always have. I think you always have regrets about not trying it a bit earlier on. But things have gone well in other things I've done in work and whatever. So yeah, it's good to give it a try now and be successful. So it's good.
Is it a big jump, state league to national league?
Yeah, I think it is. It's I think the thing is that everyone's the players are a lot better and. Not so much everybody, but I think the quality all around. Every team's a good side, and you can come up against 1 or 2 teams here or there in the state league, good each week, and then national league every week's you're playing against a good side and good players. So
I guess you picked the right team as well, Sydney United. I mean, the spirit's fantastic. The training regime's not too hard. You get plenty of time for golf as well. So
start of the year, people said we wouldn't be lucky to make the top 6 or anywhere around that. So it's just probably good to have the opportunity to even make the semis. But from there, to go on and do what we did, win the minor premiership, it's been great. And now we've got the chance to even just to go to a grand final. That's going to be exciting in itself, and then anything can happen from there.
You talk about the relaxed atmosphere, Steve, but obviously this is a grand final. It's a big game. I mean, is there an extra tension in the air?
Oh, there is, but as I said before, it's it's great just to have the opportunity to be there. So it's once we're there, I don't think many people will be sort of backing us. So yeah, it'll just be good to be there. And on the day, I think the boys are pretty confident we can go home with the job.
South Melbourne, I mean, there's been virtually nothing between you two teams this season. The games, I believe, have had quite a physical edge as well. I mean, what can we look forward to in the grand final?
Well, I think with the last game, I think we probably had probably 60% of the game, and we probably deserved to win that game. But it's on the day you got to put them away, and I don't think the boys are going to be too daunted about going down to Melbourne. It's everything's been against us all year, so. I think we sort of like being up against it, and hopefully they can come through on the weekend. And is it right the best two teams in the country are in the grand final? Is that the way you see it? Yeah, I think that shows with the Perth sort of everyone's dropped out on the way. This team that comes sixth is gone, and through that it's sort of it's left with the two teams that finish first and second. So we're minor premiers, so hopefully the team that's second gets knocked out next, and we go on with it.
Well, let's not be modest, Steve. Let's talk about what you've done for the team this year. I mean, your link play between the midfield and attack's been fabulous. You've got a couple of timely goals, including the one against Perth Glory. You must be delighted with the way you're playing. Yeah, probably had a bit of a slow start towards the season, but as it's gone on, it's got better. So, but I think with the whole team going well, it makes it easier as well. The boys, everyone works hard, and that's been the that's why it's worked out so well. How good are the strikers, the likes of Millet, Joel and Nathan? They've all got pace, they've all got good movement. I mean, it must be a dream to be feeding those guys the balls. Yeah, well, Millet's been great. He's, he bagged 14 before he went away. When he came back, I think it was a little bit different, sort of coming off a high and then coming back again. But Nathan did a great job when the guys were away, and I think we won 5 in a row while they were away. So, and with Joel, he sort of once again he performed great before he went away, and he's come back and had to put up with a place on the bench. But but it's a great forward line. How's the grand final going to be one for you guys? I think it's going to be our all-round effort. I think once again we from the guys at the back to the front, everyone puts in an effort right through the game, and it's sort of never say die. And hopefully Millet and Nathan can get a couple of goals, and we can create a few chances for them to get on the end of. Interesting that two teams who play part-time, who are part-time teams, basically are in the grand final. I mean, a lot been said about full-time football. Yep. You're a great example of someone who probably doesn't want to go full-time. You like the situation with the part-time football, and the team hasn't really suffered fitness-wise either, has it? So, interesting that both South Melbourne and Sydney United are in the grand final now. Yeah, I think the training we do is actually, it's quality training, and everything's done to to 100% at training. We sort of, we're not there a lot, but when we are there, we sort of we make the most of what we've got, and put the effort in, and Mitch and Laurie make sure that comes through all the guys, and I think it's quality sometimes, not quantity, which comes through. So. And finally, how much are you looking forward to the game? I mean, as we said, first season, the Ericsson Cup, grand final, should be a big crowd. I mean, it's a great occasion for you. Oh yeah, very excited about it. I don't think there'll be too much nerves. I thought the most nervous game I had was the game to win the minor premiership. Sort of once we won that, I thought, well, it's a big achievement, and whatever we get from here on's just going to be a bonus. So, and each week we've battled through now, and we've got to the grand final. So anything can happen.
Back for the final word on the Ericsson Cup grand final right after this.
I'm Jones McKennis, and you're going to watch South Melbourne win the grand final on C7 Sport.
In the 23-year history of the National League, South Melbourne and Sydney United have featured in some of the game's greatest grand finals.
And Steve Calderon puts Marconi ahead.
For many people, the one between Marconi and Sydney United in 1988 is the greatest of all time. United led 2-1 with just minutes remaining in extra time when Frank Farina was brought down in the area. The penalty squared it up, then Marconi sealed it on penalties.
And scores!
Sydney United had another shot at glory in 1997. In a similar scenario to this season, they were the minor premiers, but it was Brisbane which went straight into the grand final. In front of a National League record crowd of 40,000, Brisbane claimed their first title at the expense of United, and again it was that man Frank Farina spoiling the party. South Melbourne claimed their first crown in 1984, but it is the epic struggle in 1991 against crosstown rivals the Melbourne Knights which lives long in the memory. The Knights looked to have it wrapped up, leading 1-0 with just minutes remaining before South Melbourne grabbed the equaliser through Palasides. After extra time, again a penalty shootout. After missing their first 3 in a row, they stormed home to somehow snatch the championship. With this sort of history, the odds are this year's decider will be an absolute cracker.
Well, Mike, it's time to wrap it up before the big one on Sunday. Let's talk about key players. First of all, South Melbourne. Michael Petkovic's long bombs downfield could be a big problem for Sydney United. Do you think the Sydney United players will rush him like they did a couple of weeks ago?
I wouldn't be surprised if they continue that tactic, Wadey, because Michael Petkovic's kicks can be an attacking weapon for South Melbourne. If he gets the ball in his hands early and the strikers make the right runs, it can create a problem for Sydney United's defence. It's a problem which David Mitchell has identified, and as we saw in the major semi, there were a couple of instances of South Melbourne players trying to block Michael Petkovic getting the ball away quickly.
Now Sydney United. Now they're sure to use that long ball from the back, aren't they?
I don't think there'll be any secrets about that. I think United sometimes have bristled, I guess, with suggestions they play the long ball game, but there's no problems with that. I mean, those long balls that are delivered by the likes of Plesher and Kuprashak in particular are fabulous passes, and I know that Sturjovski, Griffiths and Day all appreciate that type of service.
Who do you think is going to be crowned the Ericsson Cup champion?
Well, Wadey, I haven't been much of a tipster this season, and maybe I'll get it right at the end. I'm going to go for South Melbourne. I think the home advantage is a key factor. The big match experience of South Melbourne is a key factor. Sydney United have done wonderfully well to get this far. I know David Mitchell and his players believe they can do it. Certainly they have the players to do it, but I think on the day, with those sort of factors in their favour, South Melbourne for back-to-back titles.
Make sure you join us on Soccer Central next week, when we'll review the grand final and take a long look back over what's been a fantastic Ericsson Cup season. That's next week on Soccer Central, our final show for the season. 8 months of hard work and it's all come down to this. 90 minutes of football will hopefully separate the two best teams in the country. Will South Melbourne retain their premiership crown, or will Sydney United win it for the very first time? This is what it's all about. See you next week.